welcome to this short webinar on using the Samaritans branch accounting system. The branch accounting system will enable you to put details about transactions that are on your bank statements. The bank statements are automatically loaded into the system for you to allocate against the accounts. To get into the system, it's a web page, so you need to go into a browser and enter the address, which is https://branchaccounting.samaritans.org/branchaccounting. Once you're in the web page, you'll be required to enter your email address and a password. Today I'm going to be using samsmith@hotmail.com and entering his password there. Once I'm logged in, I have a home page. The home page has a button bar at the top from where I'm able to select the areas of the system I want to go into. Depending on your access, you might not have all the buttons enabled. So if you don't have branch events, restricted funds, or gift aid regular donors, don't worry. You can still use the system without those options. On the home page too, you'll have notes and messages that might be of interest to you in using the system. We're currently on the home page, but if you ever want to get back here, just simply click the home button here on the left. So let's move into branch accounting and have a look at the bank accounts. So Sam Smith works at a branch in Shearsby, and therefore we can see the Shearsby HSBC current account that is active for him here. Shearsby is a fictional branch, and all the data you'll see here today is fictional data. We're able to enter notes against this account if we require. So in the day-to-day function of your work, if you want to put notes to remind you of certain events, certain payments you might have made, or certain cash that you might have received, you can put that against the notes. So when you go into the system, you'll be able to remember those to allocate the cash or the payment to the correct accounts. To enter a note, simply click on the plus button, enter your note, and press the tick button to enter it into the notes area. If you want to later remove that note, click the X button to delete it, or if you want to amend it, click on that little pencil to edit it. We can see on the right-hand side of the screen that Sam, in his Shearsby current account, has a number of unreconciled statements. To be able to look at those statements, we can hover over the Manage Statements button here. You'll see it becomes underlined, and my mouse pointer is changed to a hand with a finger, and I can press on that to manage the statements. In this next page, I can see three statements, statement 3, 4, and 5. And at the top, you'll see a filter. These are my unreconciled statements. If I select Close Statements, I can see that Statement 1 and Statement 2 have already been closed. The closed statement is one where all the lines on the statement have been allocated, and that allocation has been sent to the finance system. When a statement is closed, you can no longer amend it, but you can look at it by clicking on the link. By clicking the Back to Statements button, I go back to the statements. So these three statements are my unreconciled statements. They're statements that I haven't yet allocated it to the accounts. So let's go to statement 3 and start that allocation process. I can do this by clicking on the hyperlink on statement 3, and I can see I've got 5 transactions on that statement. I've got a check in, some cash in for £214.65, and I've also got some expenses for shop rent, some postage for £55, and some branch meeting expense for £75.59. You can see at this point in the filter we have a drop down here for unreconciled lines. These lines have not yet been reconciled, and also the visual cue on the left hand side of the window shows a question mark. We still need to enter the details here. We can also filter it by just lines that we have reconciled already, any closed lines, i.e. lines which have been already sent to the finance system, or I can see all lines on the system. So let's start working through my unreconciled lines. The first item is a check that was received on the 4th of May for £9. So across on the right here, I click on Add Detail, and it takes me into a window where I can add the detail. First of all, it's asking me, is this actually income, or is this a supplier refund? In this case, it's income, so I'll select income and add the detail. At the top, it shows me the reference, the check, in the transaction date, and the amount that's on the statement. I can enter the details of this check. So it was and I can select the nominal account that it refers to. By clicking on the drop down here, I get a list of all my income accounts. And I must select the one that matches the income, the reason for the income here. So this was a general donation, and I can put in the value of £9. You'll see now that it's updated the transaction total at the top to say £9, so I know that it's fully allocated. If this donation came in as as a result of an event, I can press on the drop-down box here, and I can see events that have been set up on the system for me. So I can select that that was a check for a donation as a result of the marathon. If it was allocated to a specific fund, I can enter the fund here. And if it was as a result, if it came from a regular donor, I could look up the donor here. If it was a one-off donation, then I can simply enter the postcode and the house number. So here I'll enter the postcode of the donor if I know it, and the house number. Now this check has been allocated, I can save this, and it comes back to my unreconciled lines. You'll see that I now have 4 unreconciled lines. Let's go and do the cash in, £214 in cash. I'll add details, again it's income. And this time it's a donation branch fundraising income. So I can say this is fundraising income from donations. Once again, I'll select marathon as my event, and donor here I'll select Andy Adams as the donor, and it automatically puts in the postcode and house number of Andy. Here I can put in the value again, £214.65, and press the Save button. The three expenditure items, by clicking on Add Detail, this item here is my postage expense for £55, so I'll simply enter a brief description, and I'll select the normal account, which this time you can see are my expense accounts. So down at the bottom here is postage, which I'll select and allocate £55 to. Save that. 2 to go. So £495 for shop rent at the detail. It's an expense. With this particular item, £400 is the shop rent, and I know £95.83 should be posted to a till expense. So I'll allocate this over 2 lines. So line 1, I can put shop rent, allocate that to my shop rent account, and allocate £400 of that. You'll see that my transaction total shows £400 here. On the second line, I can enter till, and here I'm going to allocate it to my shop till account, and here I'll enter the £95.83. It's now fully allocated. If I ever want more lines than just the 2 to allocate across, you can add more lines down using the button here at the bottom right hand side. I'll save this and finally do the last one, which is £75.59 expense, which I'm going to allocate to a branch meeting. I look for my branch meetings nominal account. I can allocate £75.59 across there. Now my statement's been fully allocated or reconciled. There's nothing left in reconciled lines. Selecting reconciled lines, you can see they're all there with the tick box. I can go back to my statement, and I know my statement 3 has been fully reconciled. Overnight this evening, that statement 3 will be transferred across to the accounts and will move to a closed status. So now I'm free to carry on working on my statement 4. Don't worry, we won't be doing statement 4 in this webinar. Once items have been allocated and pushed to the finance system, you're able to run reports. We'll have a look at the reports on the system. We'll just take a brief look at some of them. So when you run a report, you have a choice of 7 reports here. We'll take a look at the transaction report first, and each report will ask you some questions. Here, do you want to include all accounts? And what's your transaction start and end date? Using this criteria, you can specify that you want reports for specific months, and you're able then to produce months for the branch monthly meetings. So I'm going to say that we're going to have this on the from the 1st to the 30th of April. You can see you can output the report to the screen or to an Excel file if you wanted to use it in Excel. I'm going to put the report, can run the report, and it opens it inside a PDF viewer. From inside this, you can save this report to your desktop. You can print it as well. And there you see the income and expenditure that we've just put through the system. Okay. One last word in this webinar. Up at the top right-hand corner, you have an option to contact us. Here it gives you a telephone number and an email to contact should you need to. The user guide, so you click on this tab to download the user guide, and the logout button. So thank you for your time today, and I hope this has helped you in your understanding of putting on transactions into the Samaritans branch accounting system.